The following program is pre-recorded.
Home values have risen steadily in recent years, and they're expected to keep rising in 2020. Now, that's good news if you own a house. The bad news is something else may rise right along with home values, and that would be property taxes. The average household will pay almost $2,500 in property taxes this year. Financial planner and teacher Rob West has some steps you can take to make sure that you're not overpaying. Then it's your calls and questions on anything at 800-525-7000. 800-525-7000. We have open lines. I'm Steve Moore. How to appeal your property taxes. That's next right here on MoneyWise. Well, Rob, just when I thought there were no surprises left in this business, you're telling us that you really can fight City Hall?
Of course you can fight City Hall. Now, that doesn't mean you'll win, but you can always try. It's estimated that you have a 20 to 40% chance that you'll be successful in challenging a property tax assessment. By the way, Steve, the figure of $2,500 that you gave includes all homes, single-family townhouses and condos. Average property taxes for single-family homes are much higher, around $3,500 a year.
All right. So if your property taxes have risen sharply in recent years, you may have some grounds for appeal. So where do you start? How does this begin?
Yeah. Almost all jurisdictions have some form of appeal process, usually within 90 days of receiving a new assessment. That's the first thing you need to check. When is the deadline for appealing? Then check to see how your home was assessed. Often it's a percentage of the market value. Then make sure that your local assessment office has applied any reductions or credits you're entitled to. These are things like homestead exemptions and credits for veterans, the elderly, and the disabled. You may have to show evidence that you're entitled to a particular benefit. Very often, homeowners don't take advantage of these breaks.
That's right. Okay, but let's say I've done that and I'm getting all the breaks I deserve, so then what's next?
Well, next, you want to make sure that the official description of your property is accurate. Your local assessor's office should have a record card on file describing your property. You can ask to see it. Look for discrepancies like an extra bedroom or bathroom that you don't really have. The assessor may be able to correct a mistake on the spot, so you don't have to make a formal appeal.
Okay, that's good. All right, so I'm looking over my property record card, and everything appears to be legitimate, but the bottom line still seems awfully high to me. So anything else I can do?
At that point, you want to start comparing your property to other homes in your neck of the woods, but make sure you're comparing apples to apples.
What does fruit have to do with this?
Well, it's just a way of saying compare your property only to those with similar features, roughly the same square footage and lot size, the same number of bedrooms and bathrooms. If you don't have a basement, don't compare your property to others that do, that sort of thing. So you're not comparing apples to oranges, let's say.
All right, back to the fruit, I see.
Right.
Okay. All right, what's next?
Well, if you see that you're being assessed with a higher amount than similar properties in your neighborhood, you may have grounds for an appeal. At that point, you want to start building your case. The appeal process itself will vary, so you'll need to check with your local assessment office to see how it's done and to get any forms you might need. Whatever the process, though, you'll need to gather and organize your evidence. That would be the value of comparable homes you've dug up, photographs, even blueprints if you have them.
All right, I've gathered up my documentation, I've filled out all the forms, and I've submitted it to the assessor's office. Now what?
Now you wait. It could take several months before you get an answer.
Okay, and if I'm turned down, what then?
Well, most jurisdictions have an appeals board where you can make your case in person, but if you end up in front of the board, stick to the facts and keep your opinions to yourself. This isn't the time to get political about tax policy. Save that for your elected representatives.
And whatever you do, don't bring up the fruit. Okay,
Right.
What if I think my property value has been assessed too high, but I don't have the stomach, the time, whatever, to fight City Hall?
Yeah, well, you still have one option. If you're willing to shell out a few $100s. You can hire an independent appraiser to get a more accurate value of your property. But two things there: make sure your jurisdiction allows outside appraisals, and make sure your appraiser is certified by the Appraisal Institute or the American Society of Appraisers.
All right. Is all this really worth it, Rob?
You know, you should be able to determine that fairly early in the process, Steve. If you discover that comparable properties were assessed the same as yours, it may not be worth it. But if you win your case, you'll be able to lower your tax bill year after year, and that would definitely be worth it.
And as they say, time is money. Good information, Rob. Thanks. Your call's next at 800-525-7000.
Many people are experiencing financial challenges, such as credit card debt, downsizing, dead-end jobs, and depleted savings. In fact, more than half of all divorces are the result of financial pressures at home. But there's hope. In Your Money Counts, biblical financial expert Howard Dayton shows that the Bible is a veritable blueprint for managing your finances, and you'll discover the profound impact it has on your relationship with God. Your Money Counts is available when you click the store button at moneywise.org.
Christian Healthcare Ministries enables believers to show love for one another by sharing each other's health costs. Through CHM's voluntary health cost-sharing programs, members uplift each other spiritually and financially. CHM is an eligible option under the Affordable Care Act and a Better Business Bureau accredited charity. Interested? Learn more by calling 800-791-6225 or online at chministries.org. 800-525-7000. Let's talk. Valdosta, Georgia. Hey, Veronica, what's on your mind today?
Hi, thank you for taking my call. I appreciate it. I enjoy listening to you guys' advice and just being able to use God's money the way that He wants us to so we can give back to others. So I had a question regarding I work for the federal government, and I've done so for about 10 years now, and I contribute to a traditional TSP plan. And a couple of years ago, they allowed us the option to change that to a Roth, to elect to change it to a Roth if we wanted to. And I vaguely know the difference between the two in terms of when the taxes are taken out, but I had a question as to what would be best for our family.
Yeah. Well, in terms of the Roth option, I like that option, generally speaking, for younger folks, because you have time on your side to let that compound. If you have the opportunity to have both, you'd have a portion in Roth, portion in traditional. That would give you ultimate flexibility because you'd have some growing tax-free, some growing tax-deferred, and then depending upon your retirement situation, you could choose one or the other based on whether you were in a higher tax bracket or lower. And, that's always a good thing. Beyond that, I think it's important to understand the various options that you have inside the funds for the thrift savings plan. You've got the government securities option, you've got the common stock index, you've got the fixed income index, you've got the small cap option, the international, but then you also have these L funds that you can choose from, which are date specific. There's 5 of them depending upon when you're expected to retire, and those take some of the guesswork out of it because they're timed for how aggressive you should be based on your retirement age. So that's always a great option if you're unsure of what the right mix is between stocks and some of the more conservative options like the fixed income. But in terms of, Veronica, the Roth option, I like that. Again, if you've got time on your side for you to allow that compounding to occur.
Okay, sounds good. That was actually going to be my follow-up question about which fund to contribute to, because right now we've been very safe in contributing in terms of the general fund, but we want to be able to maximize, the contributions that we're making.
Yes, exactly. And I think that will really help you. Again, if you have somebody helping you or you feel comfortable picking out the mix, that's great. But if not, that's where those L funds can really take a lot of the guesswork out and make sure you have the right balance based on your age and risk tolerance.
Okay. Sounds good.
Right.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Very good.
Thanks. God bless. Down to Shreveport, Louisiana. Hello, Ruth. What's on your mind today?
Hello, gentlemen.
Hi.
I have a question about reverse mortgages. I need to tell you, I didn't get a chance to tell the lady who took my call. I've already been through this process, and I'm just waiting now on the final paperwork to be done. But I was beginning to get cold feet, and I just wanted your opinion in considering my situation. I'm retired.
Yes, ma'am.
I owe approximately $22,000, and my only income now is Social Security, which is about $1,500 a month. And by the time each month that I pay the bills that I owe, I'm not behind on anything. I have a good credit rating, but I have no money to spend. I have no money to save. And my home is paid for, and my car is paid for, but I cannot put anything into savings for like car repairs, home repairs. I'm afraid to go out to dinner after church with my friends because I have no discretionary money. I did go to Christian credit counselors, and they were very nice, but not able to help me in my situation because 2 of my 4 creditors do not work with them, and it turns out that my payment for them would be more than the total of my monthly creditors now. So that was not an option for me.
All right.
I went to a bankruptcy attorney. He did not recommend bankruptcy because my home is paid for, and he said, considering your income and your situation, what the court would do would be to sell your home and pay off your creditors, and then I would have a home.
Yeah, how much equity do you have in your home, Ruth? What is it worth today?
It's worth between $90,000 and $95,000. It's a small townhome.
Okay, and what would you get in the way of your reverse mortgage payment each month?
Well, I was going to take a lump sum, half in a lump sum right away, so I could pay off these creditors and then have money to put in savings, and the other half I could get later on. It would be about $24,000.
Okay, all right. And what do you owe right now on credit cards?
About $22,000.
Okay. All right. And so you're not able to really cover the monthly payments right now apart from taking this out of your home, correct?
Well, I can cover the monthly payments. That's not a problem, but I don't
You're just
have
not making any progress.
It takes all the money that I receive every month to pay everything I owe every month.
Have you looked at the option of selling this place, Ruth, and perhaps renting something as another option?
I am under the impression that, before I bought this house, I looked at renting, and everything was going to be pretty expensive.
Yeah.
And considering that that I am retired now and I'm not able to go back to work even part-time because of health issues.
Sure. Okay. Well, I mean, this certainly is a way that you can get some of the equity out of the home. Obviously, you have to maintain the property, pay the taxes and homeowner's insurance, and this is going to go against the equity in the home. The reason I don't like it is the fees and other closing costs can be high embedded in these programs, but I realize you're in a bit of a tough spot with a fixed income, unable to work, sitting on this asset, your home, and looking to be able to pay off these debts to create a little bit of margin and breathing room in your monthly spending plan, and clearly a reverse mortgage can do that. So I would certainly shop around before you make this final decision and explore every other option. I appreciate the fact that you've already checked into Christian credit counselors and the fact that that can't work for you in your situation. I'm not certainly opposed to this by any means. I think you ought to just get several quotes to make sure that you know what the cost is and that you compare several options before before you make a decision to proceed. But it certainly sounds like you clearly want to honor the Lord with what he's entrusted to you. And I know getting out from under this debt would be a huge help toward that end. And this clearly can do that as long as you plan to stay in this property and you qualify. This could certainly accomplish what you're looking for.
But Ruth, don't move too quickly. Make sure you get plenty of counsel. In fact, God's word says without consultation, plans are frustrated, but with many counselors, they succeed. We'll pray that God provides real wisdom there for you. Thank you very much. This is Money Wise with Rob West. I'm Steve Moore. Back with more at 800-525-7000. Please don't go away.
Do you know if you have enough? Enough money? Enough house? Do you know how much is enough? If not, Ron Blue can help with his book, Master Your Money, a step-by-step plan for experiencing financial contentment. Learn how to save, invest, and give wisely, how to create a long-term financial plan, and how to get out of debt. You'll find it all in Master Your Money by Ron Blue. Available when you click the store button at moneywise.org.
Investing is more than just returns. It's an expression of who you are and what you value. Does the way you invest your money reflect your identity as a Christian? At Eventide, we design investments for performance and a better world, so you can invest with the confidence to reach your financial goals while remaining true to your Christian values and commitments. We call this investing that makes the world rejoice. More is available at investeventide.com. That's investeventide.com.
It's MoneyWise taking your calls today at 800-525-7000. Anything financial you'd like to chat about. Of course, our perspective, where we come from, our cornerstone is the Bible, God's Word. We were chatting with Ruth just before the break, Rob, who was struggling with trying to, she's meeting all of her bills, but has no income after that. Can't even go out to lunch on a Sunday after church. Any additional thoughts to maybe help her over the hump here?
Well, I think the key there is what other options exist for her to consider. How might she be able to increase the income she has or decrease expenses in such a way that she could avoid tapping into the equity in her home? Because, as I said, reverse mortgages, although they can certainly allow you to do that, they're costly in terms of fees and expenses, the implied imputed interest rate embedded in the reverse mortgage as well. One option, and I think we even had a caller who called as a follow-up to suggest this, would be, could she get perhaps somebody from the church to rent a room? Does she have a second bedroom that she's not using, where perhaps another lady from the church who's looking for a situation like this could move in and pay some rent, so to speak, that would offset some of her costs? That's a great idea. Are there other things she could even do from home to bring in some additional income? I think we've just got to get creative before we turn to debt. I'm not saying she hasn't explored all of these options, but she should at least pray and think diligently about that.
Yeah, okay. Great suggestion. Thank you. Gardner, Kansas. Hi, Samuel. What's your question today? How can we help?
My question for you guys is, I'm 28 years old. I recently got married and recently also shortly after found out that I have a baby on the way. And I have $14,000 in student loans that have been in forbearance and such for the last 8 years. I also have about $7,000 in credit card debt that's been getting paid off slowly for the past few months. And I'm in the need to get this debt paid down so that I can hold a mortgage here, hopefully shortly after the baby's born. And I need to buy a vehicle. And I was just wondering what kind of suggestions you guys would have for to slim down my financial burden in order to achieve the goal of a mortgage and a car payment in the near future.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about kind of your situation here. What do you have in the way of student loans, any other debt that you're trying to accomplish here?
I have between $14,000 and $15,000 in student debt, about $7,000 in credit card debt, and that's it for the major portion of it. I also have a small loan that I have to pay back towards a small loan I took out to pay for the ending of my apartment a couple months ago. other than that, I have no major, huge, like, I don't have any $30,000 debt or anything like that. I'm just trying to get the chunk that I have taken care of.
Yeah. In terms of your margin, when all the bills are paid plus the minimum payments, what do you have left over at the end of the month?
Maybe $300 if I'm extremely lucky.
Okay. All right. And in terms of the options that you have you looked into, for instance, a debt management program?
No, I have not had the time to get into it. I've been meaning to call Christian credit counselors, and I've been trying to get into taking a Dave Ramsey class to manage my finances.
Yeah, good. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to have you hold the line. We want to get your information. I'm going to send you a copy of Howard Dayton's book, Your Money Counts. Go ahead and call Christian credit counselors. Let's see what that'll do for the credit card portion, and then give us a call back, and we'll talk about the rest of your financial picture.
Brownsburg, Indiana. Charlie, what's on your mind?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Great, thanks.
Good, thanks, Charlie.
Good, great. Thanks for taking my call. I received a settlement, and I have tucked 3/4 of it away, and I have about $30,000 in a money market account attached to my bank card. And I can see it every time I go in to check my account, and I don't want it to be there. I want it there. Trust me, I want it there. But, like, having the willpower not to spend this money, and I don't want to. I need to tuck it away where it's going to be safe, but that I can get to it if I needed to.
Well, what I would probably do is open a savings account, an online savings account that could be linked to your checking account, linked electronically. So essentially what you would do is you'd go to three of my favorites I mention a lot, and these change periodically, but I like Ally Bank, I like Capital One 360, I like Marcus. Any one of those three, you won't pay any fees. You can open a savings account, you transfer the money in, you'll earn 1.6, 1.7% interest, FDIC insured. The money would be protected, but it could be linked to another account that you use, like your debit account that you referenced. The good news is that if you ever needed to move some money over, you could do that at no charge. It would take a couple of days to do a transfer, an ACH transfer, and that's a good thing because that means you can't get it on a moment's notice. You could still monitor it. It's still there, but it wouldn't be staring you in the face every day in the primary account you use to pay your bills. So that would be the way that I would go. Again, you wouldn't pay any fees. You'd earn a little bit of interest, and it's not too accessible, but still readily available if you needed it in an emergency. Does that sound like what you're looking for?
That sounds amazing. And you said Capital One 360?
That would be one. Another would be Ally Bank. And then a third option is called Marcus, and that's the retail arm of Goldman Sachs. So you'll find that at marcus.com. Any of those would be great. And like I say, you won't pay any fees. You'll get a good interest rate, and I think you'll be thrilled with the end result.
Charlie, we appreciate your phone call today. God bless you. Thanks. Rob, I have an email here. This is from Craig. He says, "Hi, guys. I often hear you talking about getting out of debt as a goal that every Christian should make. If I never reach that goal, can God still use me?"
Oh, absolutely. You know, I think the key there is to recognize that borrowing does, there's clear warnings in Scripture around the use of debt. So we need to be very careful. We need to heed those warnings. But the bottom line is borrowing is not a sin. At the end of the day, if we're using it wisely, meaning we're not using it for consumptive living, we're using it for assets that are appreciating, like homes and perhaps a business, and we have it well within our ability to repay, then God can use us really at any point, at any time, even if we've made lots of mistakes. And by the way, we all have, because we're all sinners in need of a Savior, and we're to use His resources to glorify Him. We can't do that apart from asking Him, "Lord, what would you have me to do?" and then respond accordingly.
Amen to that. Thanks very much, Rob. And if you'd like to send a brief email to Rob, keep it brief, just a couple of lines. The address is questions@moneywise.org. questions@moneywise.org. Well, thanks so much for being with us and for joining us today. Our technical crew today, Amy, Judy, Courtney, Jim Henry in charge of research and arrangements for our upcoming Memorial Day tug of war. They're in trouble. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. Join us again tomorrow.
MoneyWise is provided by MoneyWise Media and by listeners like you.